Well, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Out on the Ranch with Dr. Lee. It's good to have you here today. I have been trying to get this video up all week long, and life just kind of kept getting in the way, if you know what I mean. We got to keep the grandkids this week, so that was a special blessing, but boy, we didn't get much else done, if you know what I mean. And the things that you forget about raising kids when you're in your 60s like I am is shocking, and it just kind of brings back the reminder of those days when we could not get anything done because we had kids going in every which direction. But anyway, guys, good to have you here. This is going to be a pretty interesting little video today, in the fact that we are going to disclose our mystery animal. For those of you who do not know what I'm talking about, I'm going to play a very short clip of the way one of my videos started off a couple of weeks ago, and that will get all of us up to speed. And speaking of videos of small animals, I did get a nice video of this little guy heading away from one of our game cameras at night, and we can't figure out what he is. He has no tail, and my wife and I, at first, when we were looking at it over and over and over, we kind of decided that that was probably a raccoon who lost his tail somewhere, which is not that uncommon. That's very likely. But the more I got to looking at him and comparing his gait to a raccoon's gait, if you look at the raccoons, they're a little bit more slender, they walk a little bit more briskly, and they kind of have a hop in their step. And this guy has real heavily muscled back legs, and he just kind of lumbers along at a fairly slow clip. He's going nowhere fast. I really feel it's not a raccoon. All right, guys, well, it's time for the unveiling. Before we do that, I do want to thank you all. I had to get my cheat sheet here. I did want to thank you all for leaving all the comments and replies that I requested. That's one thing about you guys. If I ask you for something, you guys come through with the goods, let me tell you. But I asked you guys to tell me what you thought that little critter was. And number one guess was a wombat, and I mean, I totally agree. If you look at the thing and you Google wombats and look them up, that's exactly what he looked like. The only problem is wrong continent. The next most likely looking critter was a capybara. However, this was a pretty small little critter, and those things get up to be a pretty good size. We also had one person thought it was a Yogi Berra too, so always a clown in the bunch. Other guesses, good guesses: woodchuck, nutria, hedgehog, collared peccary, which here we call javelinas, jackalope, hog, feral hog, small hog, pot-bellied pig, etc., badger, small bear, bear cub, gremlin, something that fell off of a UFO, a mutated coon from drinking the water, the contaminated water in our now contaminated water in our creek, a fat Chinese pug, a unicorn, a chupacabra. And to show that we are a politically minded group here, someone also suggested that it possibly could be Donald Trump. And to show that we are also an equally minded political group here, Hillary Clinton's name also came up on the list. So there you have it. Unfortunately, all of those guesses were wrong. One was pretty close, but basically what we have here, folks, is a raccoon who lost his tail and obviously had enough spinal damage associated with the incident that caused him to lose his tail. He also has a spastic gait and an unusual stance. He's kind of low slung, and he doesn't appear to be a raccoon when you look at him from the back, for sure. Again, here's what the raccoons look like. You know, they're taller, they're sleeker, they move very, very quickly. And in the majority of the videos that we have this little bobtail fella in, he's low to the ground and he's very slow in his movements. We got him in a couple of them moving a little bit faster, but the majority of the time when I saw him on the game cameras, he was not going anywhere very fast at all. So unfortunately, I don't get to try to trap a wombat out here, and just another little bit of nature that we usually don't see. So anyway, I thought you would enjoy seeing that. I did have one note that I wanted to put in here that I failed to put in here, And that's what happens when you've got a video that's ready to go, but you don't get it out for over a week. The little things that you mean to add or delete commonly don't get added and deleted. And one of our good viewers left this comment. This is Jason Patterson. And Jason, you were right on the money. Jason said, "This is a raccoon whose back end was injured when he lost his tail, and hence the abnormal gait." I couldn't have said it any better. I wish I'd have put that down. Maybe he's a veterinarian and a better one than me. And also along the same lines, referencing the wildlife on the ranch, the whitetail bucks are starting to come back to this side of the ranch. During hunting season, they all migrate way back that direction. There's a thicket back there that is just extremely dense brush, and they go back there and hide out for 4 to 6 weeks during hunting season. And hunting season, which is pretty much over right now, when it starts to end, the bucks come out of hiding. We haven't heard any gunshots in quite some time, and the bucks come back to this side of the ranch. And that's a very common thing, and it's interesting. When they come back, evidently all they do is fight while they're in hiding, because they come back with one antler on one side, with antlers with their tines all broken off. And we kind of look, we kind of watch the game cameras to see if specific bucks made it back, you know, some of the great big ones. And unfortunately, one that we have not seen come back yet is our little three-legged buddy. And we haven't seen him since about the middle of December. So he's been gone over a month now, and I don't know that that is good news. The hunters commonly, if they see a crippled deer, they will kill it because they think that it's going to just suffer to death, which is commonly the case in a lot of the crippled deer. And we also have an increased amount of canine predators on the ranch right now. Since my neighbor cleared all their land, we've got all their coyotes over here, and the coyotes could have drug him down too, because they key on weaker, slower animals. And he obviously was, as far as walking around, he was a lot slower and much more awkward than the rest of them. So he could have gotten taken out by a hunter, which I hope is what happened. If he is gone, I hope that's what happened to him. Or he could have been taken down by a pack of dogs too. Or he could have just died of natural causes, but I don't really think he was that old. But nevertheless, we're going to miss him. I've not written him off yet. I still have all the game cameras out, and we're looking for him. I had 5 game cameras set up on the trail where we saw our little bobtail raccoon, and I'm moving those now. I'm getting them back into the woods a little bit deeper to see if we can find him. What gives me great doubts, though, is he really liked my backyard. And it was common to see him in our yard every day, and we've not seen him on this side of the ranch at all. So kind of sad, but you know, that's life, and that's part of the deal out here on the ranch. You know, the wild animals, that they're wild animals, and you can't control them, and you can't protect them very much. So anyway, he was a cool little deer to get to watch, and he was a little bit more tame than most of them, probably because it took so much for him to take off running that he would hang around a little bit longer, and I think he got a little bit more used to people. But anyway, I thought you guys would be interested to hear that. We probably won't have any more video on him, and I'll if that is indeed the case, I'll make us a little video, and because I've got hours of footage on him. He was always there, so I filmed him all the time. So, next topic. Well, guys, I know how you enjoy Uncle Floyd's stories, and this particular video had a little bit of time left in it, so I thought, well, I'm just going to put a little Uncle Floyd story in there. This particular video of Uncle Floyd was taken last year, and he was telling me about little excerpts from his life. And in this particular one, he had left home when he was 17. He walked out of school, did not finish high school, and he walked out of his home with 50 cents in his pocket, and he hitchhiked and took a job in Iran, Texas. And that's a little small town out in West Texas. And Floyd went out there and went to work in a drugstore. And he's basically worked in drugstores almost all of his life. So he took this little job in a drugstore working at the soda fountain. Back then, if you wanted to go downtown and get you a soda, you didn't go to a grocery store or a drive-in. There was nothing like that. You went to the drugstore, and in each drugstore they had a little soda fountain and commonly a little grill back there, and you could get you a hamburger or a sandwich, something like that. So Floyd was in charge of running this little hamburger stand and soda fountain in the back of this pharmacy. And this story is about, well, I'll just let you figure it out. Here's Floyd.
So I had an offer of a job in Ariane, Texas, running the soda fountain. And I hitchhiked to Ariane and got there early one morning, and about 6 o'clock, and the drugstore opened at 6:30, and I went to work because I already had the job. Well, the soda fountain was dirty, and I tore it up and was cleaning it up, and about 7 o'clock, this real immaculate dressed man comes in. Well, you're new in town, what's your name, where are you from, this, that, and the other, and he was the local dentist. And he'd go across the street and take care of a patient, and in a little bit he'd be back to drink more coffee. And after he had known me for about 7 hours, he said, "Now, Floyd, I don't want you to start going with any girls out here." He said, "I've got one picked out for you." Well, it was about a week before I met this girl, and she was had just finished high school. She was working in the picture show at night, cashier, and waiting for the fall term to start at Texas University. And so after about 6, 7, 8 days, well, she came popping in the drugstore and sat down on the stool, and so I asked her what she wanted, and I had made some fresh chicken salad that day, and incidentally, we made chicken salad out of pork because pork was cheaper than chicken. But anyway, we had a nice little visit, and she left, and sometime later I wrote this little poem about it. I says, "As I looked up, there she sat on the soda fountain stool. I'll never forget this pretty young girl with the light brown hair. She could make moonbeams and stardust fill the air." Now I knew who she was without a word, for a description I had already heard. So I said to her, "What will it be?" Her answer came back, "What you think best for me." Now the chicken salad was fresh and tasted real good. I could please this girl, I just knew I could. As I prepared the food, I felt like a king, and I set forth a sandwich fit for a queen. And as we talked, it was plain to see I was meant for her, and she was meant for me. She slid from the stool and says, "I have to go, for I'm the cashier at the picture show." As she left the store with a swish and a swirl, I said to myself, I'll just marry that girl. And 4 years later, I did marry that girl and spent 56 years with her. So the doctor picked out my girl for me.
He did a good job, too.
He did a good
She was
job.
a sweetie.
I figured you'd probably like that. Anyway, Uncle Floyd, what a character he is, huh? Well, guys, that's all I've got today. I appreciate you dropping by out on the ranch. I appreciate you coming by for a visit. I always appreciate the kind comments and replies that you always leave. And you know that I really appreciate the way you guys show a lot of sincere care and concern for one another. You guys are just awesome, and I love you very dearly for that. So thanks again, guys. Always remember I love you. We will see you next time. Take care now. Bye-bye. So what you doing there, Al?
Neutering a dog, Dad.
All right. Who's gonna learn you?
That's a mistake.